Now, you're not burned out. You're just stuck in the day-to-day operations of your business. And after growing my own company to, let's say, about $100,000 a month in revenue, working only 4 hours a day, I'm about to actually show you how to completely systemize your business in the next couple minutes here. Now, if you've ever been to, let's say, like a hospital, right? Like, you'll know the word triage. And it's basically how doctors figure out who needs the treatment first, not based on when they arrive, but how serious their condition actually is. If you show up with, like, let's say a sprained wrist and someone else is having a heart attack, guess what? They go first. Let me ask you something, right? Why doesn't your business run like that? Why are you giving, let's say, Canva revisions the same energy as onboarding, let's say, a 10K client? Or why are you spending time writing a 4th Instagram caption when your sales ops haven't even followed up in like 10 days with their people? Like, you don't need more time, you just need triage, because when everything feels urgent, nothing actually gets done. It's something where I found myself in as well. The secret is not like managing tasks, it's managing what gets your attention and in what order. And my personal system, like the calendar first framework, is that every day my Google Calendar shows 2 kind of block, right? One is a yellow one for tasks, and the other one is purple for pure focus block. Basically, here I have it illustrated. The yellow box is ideally for short reactive tasks that are quickly completed and deleted and doesn't really require a lot of brain power, but you just want to get through them quickly, right? Like a little admin tasks that only you can do, one-off tasks. And the purple one are just basically best for deep work and high leverage thinking that requires more of that focus time. Typically, these yellow tasks, they take around 5 to 30 minutes. It's just like client check-ins, maybe sending an invoice here and there, reviewing some copies, talking with your accountant, syncing with someone, and random tasks that you just need to check off. Could also be some personal stuff, right? And these are disposable. Once I do them, I just simply delete them. And that alone on its own is actually very satisfying, especially in your calendar if you're going to start like deleting all these yellow ones, right? They're just meant to be very light, reactive, and flexible. And purple on the other hand, that's really where the deep work gets done, right? And for me, I typically break them down into like 4 blocks that typically just like spread out over the week. Sometimes I do 2 blocks in a day, maybe sometimes even 3. But the most important ones are here, the ones here at the top, reviewing the business systems. And then the second one is vision and high leverage thinking. And then for my creative outlet, right, with low complexity, low strategic impact, is just like building content. And another one is just like working on music. For me, I really enjoy doing that. It's just like a creative outlet for me, that just to get me distracted so I can basically come fresh to reviewing business systems and high leverage thinking with like a more fresher like mind, I would say. Now, these purple ones, they don't really get deleted. They stay every day. I have a strict schedule for that during the whole week. And they show me really where my energy is actually going, right? They reflect the actual builder version of me where shit actually gets done. And by the way, if you actually want me to help you set up the system for your business and work less and actually get more shit done, just hit the link down below and we can just check out how we can do that. Next to that, like, what really happens when tasks don't fit neatly into a single day? Shit happens, you might get busy, or anything can come up, right? Life is not black and white. Now, obviously, not everything fits neatly into a 24-hour cycle. Some tasks need to move forward over multiple days. Some maybe need like a follow-up, and some may actually evolve. And this is really where Notion becomes like my command center on top of that. Or if you don't want to pay for Notion, you could always do like a Google Doc or whatever. When, let's say, we have an unfinished yellow task, right? Like a little like admin thing that only you could do. It remains incomplete. We just update the title and then we reschedule the task to maybe like another day. Typically the next, let's say, like yellow task day. For me, it's only on Tuesday and Thursday when I do those. The rest is all purple. And then we basically reschedule it and move it to the future if we can get done that day. Maybe it's like someone else needs to like approve something, etc. You never know. Which basically creates a rolling life cycle instead of a graveyard of unfinished tasks. Because the goal is that at the end of the day that you don't have any more of those yellow tasks. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's it for me. The rest of the days I work on the purple ones, which gives you pure momentum clarity. Either it's done, updated, or moved with meaning. If it lifts the finger more than twice, I typically honestly kill it and try to outsource it, right? But systems aren't just about your personal workflow. Like, what about your team? So once your day is dialed, like let's say zoom out, ask yourself who's actually doing the work across these 5 core areas. Because like if you see the same one keep upping up every week, that's when really the alarm bells should start ringing. Ask yourself, like, who's actually doing the work across these 5 core areas, which is sales, fulfillment, admin, client success, marketing, and content, right? For most founders, especially in the early stages, or even I've seen founders in like the 50 to 100K range, answer was just me, and also me, right? For all of them. And that's where things could basically like erupt like a volcano here, right? If you have lack of delegation, team capacity, process inefficiency, fear of control, like you don't want to let things go to team members, your founder involvement will become too much and you'll just explode, either with a burnout or just quitting, which is not sustainable. So here's the actual exercise I do quarterly. And I basically do this with all my businesses. You basically want to map the function that keeps coming up, right? Let's say in like the yellow tasks or maybe in like your purple ones. List the task under each, write the real name of who owns it. Also your own name counts in this one as well. And then color code it. Green means good. That means that it's already owned and systematized with someone else. Yellow is handed off but still needs review. And red means that you're still the bottleneck, that you're still actually the one doing it. And the goal is just to eliminate all the red. It kind of like speaks for itself. One role at a time, not all at once. So basically that will look something like this, almost like a journey here. From red to mapping the function, assigning the ownership, then it becomes green. And now you have a systematized task outsourced. So at the end of the day, you don't just build a team, you build a system. And then those systems can actually hire the teams to take them over. But how do you actually make sure that they're all staying on track with this? Like you don't just do a fancy journaling system, right? Again, for me, I just use my calendar. On Friday, I actually asked like, hey, what did I actually finish this week? What took longer than it should have? Where did I waste most of my energy? And did I create or just react and did the thing myself? And I reflect by looking at the color blocks, not a to-do list. And then on Sunday, I basically plan the whole week and what are my big goals for the week. I anchor my purple blocks first. Those are sacred. And then I layer in the yellows with intention, like the little task days on Tuesday, Thursday, which is another video. I'll also just check out the channel. There's another video on basically how I plan my week as a CEO. Just click down the channel down below. And that's basically like my founder's war round and my work calendar, right? Where I plan out the whole next week. Let's talk about the real reason most people actually stay stuck. Like they think systematizing means scaling everything. So they try to build funnels, teams, and automations all at once. And my answer to this is just simply no. Take a step back. Here's a sequence that actually worked and that actually works for me as well. First, you want to start with an executive assistant. Initiate the process by assigning the executive assistant role, which is just hiring one. Could be also like a virtual assistant. Doesn't have to be a crazy, like from a first world country, right? Manage calendar and email first, then organize the inbox. So for example, cleaning the inbox of like the whole team, support, etc. Same with like the calendar, making sure everyone has their appointments signed and their calendars are all clean. Implement the SOPs and checklists, right? So standard operating procedures and checklists. Let's say for like building ads for clients could be one, right? If the ads are very repetitive. Another very repetitive task, like making sure everything on the back end is done correctly for the clients to make sure that they're fully onboarded. And on top of that, doing the follow-ups with those clients to actually make sure they're going through the onboarding process and that they're getting success. Because a lot of times it doesn't really make sense for your client success manager to do that herself or himself. It's just for the client success manager to like oversee those small tasks and making sure it gets done. So it's almost like an executive assistant for your client success manager, which basically gets into clean mental mess. So the EA help clear mental clutter, especially for the client success manager. Just making sure that the client success manager is not running around and getting a burnout. And again, running those simple tasks and also performing small client tasks. That's kind of like the role of an executive assistant. Now, I'm going to go in later if anyone else in the business needs an executive assistant, but this is primarily for the client success manager. And we've seen the most success with this. So the client success manager almost has like their own little business within the business and feels like they're in some type of control and they can really make the right decisions for your clients to get them the best type of result possible. Now here we actually get to the client success manager. And what to do, they make sure clients are onboarded correctly and overseeing the executive assistant, making sure the client has everything they need to see success and the exact instructions and expectations that are met as well on those calls to make sure again that they see success. Slack communication with the clients, client check-ins, deliverables management, making sure like, hey, checking in with the client, do you have everything you need to basically get started? Do you have any questions, etc. Task tracking as well. Are the clients basically going through their whole action plan and through the process that they're being assigned to actually see success? And then just following up with the clients, just making sure that they feel like they're part of something better, that they're part of a great company, right? And client experience ownership. So also asking them like, hey, what do you think of this process so far? Are you satisfied? Do you feel like you're reaching your goals, etc.? This way you can basically keep improving the system that we're building here. Next up, sales manager and closers would be like the next one. Now, of course, the founder needs to close first. It's very important that the founder has a bunch of closings in his pocket so he can basically hand it off to a sales manager. This is typically just like the first closer you're going to hire, where you're going to set KPIs for and manage the pipeline a little bit lower than your KPIs because the founder always closes at a higher rate. It's a fun fact, but that's always happened. Founders, because people get on the call, they see your face everywhere, and now they feel special because the founder is on the call with them, right? So they always have a little bit of a higher KPI, so you want to make sure it's a little bit lower than what you're used to. Once you hire a sales manager, he's closing well. You hire one more closer, one or two, and those are trained to close deals effectively and kind of like overseen by the sales manager here, right? Who's going to make sure that they're staying in a good KPI, making sure their close rate is good enough, making sure the show up rates are good as well, and go from there. And then after that, it's just a matter of automated sales because now that whole division is set up. So leads are followed up with and closed without the founder being involved. And then the last thing that I would outsource is a CEO or an ops lead. And here's basically what that like a little staircase looks like, all the way starting from the bottom. Run functions. So ensure that all major functions operate smoothly without your direct involvement. Plan fulfillment, marketing, and sales. Typically for marketing, we just hire a marketing agency. That's why I didn't really include it here because marketing ad agencies are very cheap and they're very good. And typically a lot of them are performance-based as well. Hire CEO and an op lead once all those functions are done, right? So appoint a leader to manage the team and operations. Now, once that's done, implement systems to monitor and report on key performance indicators. At this point, you should already have that ready, but the CEO should be able to see every single aspect in the business, marketing, product, and sales, and see how all of those are performing and make sure that they're being tracked. And if not, the CEO could basically, you could build them with your CEO so he knows exactly how those metrics are reported. After that, it's just a matter of maintaining the machine. So keep the operational systems running efficiently and making sure all those 3 parts of the business are performing. And then after that, it's just a matter of also like having the CEO report to the owner. Structure, basically establish a reporting structure where the leader reports to you as the owner, right? So the CEO basically reports to you how the whole business is doing every single week, once a week. And then after you achieve ownership, or your CEO basically achieves ownership. So you successfully transition the role of owner overseeing the entire operation. And maybe you even give them a little bit of equity, right? To make sure like they feel like it's really their business that they're running. And then you basically outsource the whole business and it should now be running by itself. Now, as a little bonus, what I added here is how I hire more and actually find good people, because that's probably one of the hardest parts, right? Out of all of this. When I hire, I actually focus on 2 things, like where the talent is actually coming from and how quickly can I see that they're the actual right fit. Now, I basically put it down into 4 groups. School and alumni groups, it's not really a big one for me, but it could be a good one because at least for me in my high school and college, I have a lot of people that are not happy where they are in life, but they see everything I'm doing via my social media and they always ask for jobs. And some of these people are very highly talented, right? And they want to do whatever it takes, especially in the beginning, maybe even work for very little pay just to even get the experience, right? That they haven't really had so far. Second is personal connections. Like they offer quick vetted talent at a higher cost. Like for example, a lot of masterminds that I've been part of, there's just like a lot of agencies that are cutting down fat, even though they have extremely talented like team members. They just sometimes gotta fire their people because they're just like changing offers, or they just have now a certain like way of delivering their product where they don't need any team members, or for example, change their offer, etc. Casual word of mouth, right? It's effective, especially cost effective, but slow in finding talent. Basically goes hand in hand with the personal connection one. And then hiring ads is a really good one if you want to get talent quick. They're very costly and slow, but can yield high volume candidates. And from there, every candidate kind of like goes through a vetting funnel. Now you're probably wondering, what does this vetting funnel look like? It's very simple. Let's say someone comes in through an ad, could be like an Indeed ad, Facebook ad, Instagram ad. We ask them to just upload a video, right? It could be a quick intro of who they are, where they're coming from, and everything else. They can basically decide what they want to do, but just tell them like, don't go over 1 or 2 minutes. And this video alone will tell so much about a person, like how they talk, how they behave, how much they care, how they're dressed. All those things will tell a lot about a person that you need to know, which trims down a lot of the fat from basically hopping on a ton of hiring calls. Once we reviewed those videos, we invite them to a short call. Typically, we actually do group interviews, right? So that's the first round. We just put them all into a group Zoom. Another 50% basically gets cut off there. Then we typically do another call with them individually with like the absolute best candidates. And now we've already trimmed down a lot of the candidates. And then typically for a week, we have them do a paid test task. So it could be a task within the business that they're going to be doing, like one of those tasks that we basically systemized early on, and they're going to get paid for it. And the ones who do perform the best and show that they don't really need you, they don't ask a lot of questions, but if they do ask questions, they ask the right ones, and it just shows that they have what it takes, then we evaluate them and basically hire them. And once they're in, the onboarding is fast, but thorough. So we make sure that they get access to all those SOPs and the systems that we created before. Then they shadow a team member within the business. Could also be the founder, especially if you're still building early on. Then the onboarding docs with KPIs basically goes together with those SOPs. And that's all in day one. And then in the first 2 weeks, we do daily check-ins. Could either be over call or just over Slack, but typically we do calls, right? And those could be very quickly with the founder and the person that they're shadowing. And then we also do weekly one-on-ones, progressing reviews, and roadblock removal, seeing if they have any questions, if they're stuck anywhere, and how we could basically make their job easier. Now this process means that every hire hits the ground running and knows exactly what winning looks like. Like margin is the goal. Everyone talks about skill, but very few actually talk about margin. And here's what I care about from top to bottom. I care about a low team count. I don't want to manage a fuck ton of people, honestly. Ensuring that efficiency and focus are good, right? With the low team count. I want to make sure that every team member has high ownership, right? And take accountability, because if you have a bunch of people that have similar tasks, they're just going to say like, yeah, but this person had to do this, and then shit just never gets done, right? So defining roles and responsibilities, having clear metrics, right? So tracking performance with indicators. So making sure that like, hey, every team member that has high ownership and in their own department actually hits their KPIs. Like for example, you have the closers, they need to have a certain close rate. Client success managers need to make sure that they have a certain renewal rate so clients keep renewing, and we make sure that they're doing their job, because if a client is renewing, that basically means that the client is having a good experience with our product and our offer and our team. That's very important important. And then also with like, let's say our marketing, right? So let's basically saying like, hey, our cost per lead is good, our show rate is good, automations are all set correctly, so making sure that they're also held accountable with those clear metrics. And after that, you can basically have a peaceful weeks. And that's honestly what I cared about the most, is achieving balance and personal fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to have 20 Slack channels. I don't want to have 15 VAs. I want 4 to 6 smart people who actually do their job incredibly well. And that's what actually lets me run an 80K month profit business, working 4 hours a day with just systems, leverage delivery, and deep focus. Now, if you're still watching, this isn't random. You're not here by accident. You're probably exactly where I used to be. Making money, but at the end of the day, you're just super tired and don't really have any more energy to do much else, only maybe in the weekends. And you're growing, but you may be stuck, and scaling, but always needed within the business. If you're currently actually feeling burned out, then there's a much deeper system I've built that actually goes beyond what I could cover in this exact video. Now go watch the video here that's on the screen. It should be the one that says like how I scaled to 80K a month profit without burning out or selling my soul. There's a bunch more also on the channel, which will probably be recommended as well here, where I break down exactly the full exit operator system, the exact steps to actually scale, step back, and finally own your business. Welcome to the exit operator era. See ya. Peace.